Ellie closed her notebook with a satisfied pat and leaned back in her seat. Done. Finished. Complete. Hermione Granger, 5th grade Muggle, was ready for publication. She'd have to figure out how to publish a book, of course. Could a 6th grader find an agent? Because Ellie was pretty sure you had to have an agent if you wanted to get a real book published. Which is to say, a book with a cover and pages, a book people could buy in bookstores. Mrs. Herrera would know what to do, Ellie thought. Mrs. Herrera was the sort of teacher who would have a dozen great ideas for getting your first novel published. Even better, she wouldn't look at Ellie like she was crazy. Publish a book? You just started middle school, and you think you can publish a book? That was the sort of thing other adults might say, but not Mrs. Herrera. Ellie reached into her desk and pulled out her spelling notebook. There were 15 minutes left in study hall. Plenty of time to finish her LA homework. She'd still have Spanish to do when she got home, but Spanish never took long, 10 minutes, tops. She could zip right through it and then get started on a new novel, now that she was done with Hermione. It was the perfect sort of day for starting a new novel, Ellie thought as she uncapped her fountain pen. The air just cool enough that she could sit on the front porch swing wearing her cozy green sweater. The perfect sort of sweater to wear when you were writing your second novel in the last week of September. Cerulean, Ellie wrote down, her pen making a satisfying scratch on the paper. A shade of deep blue. Sentence. As we stood on the beach, we looked out on the cerulean blue ocean. But what should her new novel be about? When she'd started Hermione Granger, 5th grade Muggle in June, she'd known exactly what she wanted to write. J.K. Rowling had barely said anything in the Harry Potter books about Hermione's pre-Hogwarts years, and Ellie was dying to know what she'd been like before the books started. When had Hermione discovered she had magical powers? Was she always the smartest one in her class? Did she have any friends? If she did, what kind of friends were they? Good friends? Or the kind of friends who turned on you? When Ellie realized she might never know the answers to these questions unless she made them up herself, she'd started writing. Paradigm, Ellie wrote now. An example or pattern of something. Sentence. I could write a book about how Lila Willis is a paradigm of a terrible friend. Ellie glanced up from her desk. Lila was in the book nook with Rosie Nichols, passing a notebook back and forth. Ellie could just imagine what they were writing about. Who liked who? Who liked someone who didn't like them back? Who was best looking? Who was worst looking? After school, they'd send out a series of group texts to everyone in Mrs. Herrera's class with all the information they'd compiled. If Ellie made one of their lists, it was usually the biggest geek list. She was typically number 3, after Stefan Morrissey and Ben McPherson, although sometimes she nosed ahead of Ben into the number 2 slot.